What is up? What is up? Welcome back to another episode of Blood and Beer, the show where we talk blood sport and we drink beer. So today we're going to be breaking down UFC Fight Night 200, Strickland versus Hermanson. That was a super fun card. A lot of stoppages, a lot of battles. The fight of the year so far was on this card. So yeah, we're going to go over that, and then we'll also talk more MMA news. There's a lot going on, a lot coming up. So we'll get into that afterwards. Jorge Masvidal made a funny video. Colby Covington, hilarious video. Go check it out. He's just making him look like a piece of shit, and shows where he's contradicting himself. Shows that his persona is fake, and he's just doing it for fame. Which, I mean, I think we all know it is. Nobody acts like how Colby Covington acts, but he just shows videos of people clowning on him nonstop. It's awesome. Today's beer we're going to be drinking is Bodhi Double India Pale Ale, another beer from the Columbus Brewing Company. So we'll check this out. It seems like a blackout brew. It's 8.3%. I'm not used to all that, but we're gonna rock it and see how it goes. And then we'll go ahead and crack this beer and we'll get started. And if you have any suggestions for beers I should drink during the show, it's got to be available in Ohio or maybe West Virginia. I'll make a trip for something that's awesome if there's some super awesome local beers down there. But let me know in the comments or message me on the side, because always looking for suggestions. Around here we don't have a ton of availability, or availability is not the word. Ton of options would be a better word, because availability wouldn't make sense there. But Columbus Brewing Company's a big one, and Brewdog. And then we see a lot of Voodoo Ranger. We need to get that on here. But try this out. Pretty damn good. I like that. I like that a lot. I would probably be super drunk after a couple of those. So hopefully today's show doesn't go by too long, because I might be twisted. Anyways, getting started. We'll go ahead and start with the first fight on the card. Malcolm X Gordon versus Dennis Bondar. Malcolm Gordon, he's on his way up. I think he got his first win in the UFC in his last fight. He seems like he's got some skill, but this fight we didn't get to see a whole lot of that because it was stopped early due to an injury. Gordon injured him with attempted submission, I think, and it looked like it broke his arm or dislocated it. It was disgusting. The guy tapped it while they were just in the clinch because he was in so much pain. So you hate to see Bondar go down like that in his UFC debut. I hope he gets another chance, but more importantly, I hope he heals up. So here's to Bondar, and I'm sorry, buddy. Next fight we have is Phil Rowe, Jason Witt. I apologize. So Phil Rowe and Jason Witt starts out. They're feeling each other out at the beginning of the fight, and then Witt gets the takedown. I think it was around 3 minutes into the fight, or 2 minutes into the fight, 3 minutes left in the first, and pretty much rides him out the rest of the round. Not a whole lot of damage done, but he clearly won round one. Going into round two, it's another feeling out process, and then Phil Rowe catches him with a nasty 2-3-2 combo, 2-3-2, and puts him down, and then does a tiny bit of ground and pound, finishes him off. Phil Rowe showed a lot of resilience coming back from that adversity. He was on the ground, definitely lost round one, comes back with something clean, and it was a fun fight to watch. Sweet combo, super accurate. So that was awesome. After that we have, what's the guy's first name? Sorry. Yailton Almeida versus Danilo Marquez. Yailton Almeida is making his UFC debut against Marquez, and dude is strong. Marquez had never been taken down in the UFC. 10 takedowns for him, 0 against him. Well, Almeida goes out there and slams him right away, pretty much. and then just does ground and pound from there. Marquez is trying to roll and give up his back to try to stand up, but every time he does that, Almeida starts to lock in a rear naked, so he changes his mind, and the ground and pound Almeida was throwing was just straight strikes straight down onto his face, and he was blocking a lot, Marquez was, but yeah, Mike Beltran did the right thing by stopping it. I was surprised it didn't stop sooner, just because there was no fighting back from it. I mean, dude was fully gassed up and just pounding away at his face. Ground and pounding away at his face. So, Yalton Almeida, he'll be fun to watch in the UFC. He's going to be, I think he was middleweight was his weight class, so he's going to be fun to watch. He could be a problem for some people. I don't know if he'll make it to the top, but he could definitely crack top 10 and do quite a bit of damage. It's always fun to watch these prospects on their way up because you never know who's going to make it. I mean, this dude, he looked really strong, but sometimes people, they get that first win or first couple wins and they just plateau. Other people, they get it and they just get better and better and better, like a Kamaru Usman. So, I'll have to wait and see. Next up, we have Alexis Davis versus Julia Stoliarenko, I think is how it's pronounced. In the first round, it looked like Stoliarenko had her in an armbar and snapped her arm, but I guess she didn't because Davis's elbows bend in a weird way or something. So that was nuts. But the rest of the fight, Stoliarenko's on her back, and Davis is just doing a little bit of ground and pound, maintaining top control, and gets the dub, unanimous decision that way. Stoliarenko has really good jiu-jitsu and a mean armbar, so she was real comfortable just laying on her back looking for the armbar. It just never came. She let the fight pass her by, and she lost it. Davis looked good, though. 16-second fight right here. Chidi Njokwani, versus Marc-Andre Barriault. Chidi goes out there, Chidi bang, hits him. I think it was a straight right, sleeps him. I mean, just drops him right away. Fight's over. It was the second quickest debut in the UFC history. It was not a lot to analyze on that one, so we look forward to seeing more Chidi bang in the future. That was his debut, and he definitely made an impression. Next fight we have is Duadu versus Triziano. Duadu versus Triziano was pretty much just a striking affair. Duadu outstruck him 2-1, and not a whole lot to say about it. I mean, he looked really clean, really crisp. I'd like to see what's next for Duadu. He won 30-27 across the board, and he definitely won all 3 rounds. Landed twice the strikes. What do you do? Got to see what's next for the guy. Put him against another beast striker. I want to say he's 145, so maybe him versus Edson Barboza. That would be a fun one, because Barboza, he'll strike with anybody. All right. And then the prelims main event. We have Miles Johns versus John Castaneda. And Castaneda looked to be slightly quicker, slightly more accurate, but Johns, they both had their moments. Johns was doing really good, and then Castaneda drops him. I think it was a knee and then a straight punch, and Miles Johns kind of starts falling backwards. This is in the 3rd round, and they go to the ground, and Castaneda, you could see it from as soon as Johns put his arm up and tried to get out of it, he had a head and arm triangle locked in, and then puts Johns completely to sleep. Dude was out cold. Hate to see it happen, but I think Johns waited a little too much, and Castaneda really chose his moments, landed some really clean shots, and that submission was tight. As soon as he got the head and arm triangle in, he stepped his legs over, got complete side control pretty much with his head under the armpit, and just squeeze. And you could literally watch this guy fall asleep real time. It was super good fight, but yeah, hate to see that happen to somebody, but not really, because you love to see that happen. And then on to the main card. Started off with a fucking bang. Julian Erosa versus Steven Peterson. Sorry about that. I'm working on using less profanity. Sorry. Goodness. Less profanity in the show, just because I know it's not everybody's cup of tea. Hope my grandma can watch this someday. But yeah, Julian Erosa versus Steven Peterson was an absolute war. First round was super close. They both, the whole fight, caution to the wind. Round 2, Peterson goes out there and had some big moments. He outlanded him by a pretty, I think by about 10 shots. But Erosa, it looked like he dropped him with a spinning back fist. It was nasty. And they were just exchanging. I love how Erosa fights with his hands down at his hips and just kind of duck and weaves as he throws. It doesn't always work out, but it looks like it did today. Or yesterday, I should say. So, just an absolute war. I mean, words cannot do this fight justice. It's the fight of the year so far. And I'll keep you posted if that changes, but that's going to be my vote for fight of the year. Unless, I don't know, another Chandler Gaethje type of thing happens. But in the third round, it was super even going into even in the third. Julian Erosa is like, "Let's go, yeah!" And he gets a takedown, and he, as he's taking him down. I mean, I'm sorry for all these sound effects, but it was sweet to see. I mean, I love when fighters just get pumped up like that, show some emotion, and you can tell they just really want to win. They enjoy fighting. And in this fight, Peterson had missed weight by about 4 pounds. So I think Erosa got his bonus plus his own bonus, and then part of Peterson's purse because Peterson missed weight. So he probably made a lot of money last night. Yeah, that was just, go watch the fight. I can't say enough about it. But now we have Gore versus Brian Battle. Tresean Gore versus Brian Battle. The true Ultimate Fighter 29 championship moment, because Tresean Gore had to pull out of that finale with I believe it was a knee injury. Fight starts. Brian Battle's pushing all the action. Tresean Gore is real hesitant. At the end of round 1 even, Brian Battle says one punch the whole round, but I'm pretty sure Tresean rocked him with that punch. He's super powerful. Round 2 starts off and Battle keeps the pressure up, but as the fight goes on, he's getting rocked by Gore in the second round. It looks like he's still outlanding him, but Gore is landing much more significant punches. He's getting takedowns. He looked really good. Going into round 3, Battle has a super swollen eye. Just from getting effed up by Gore. He gets rocked another time or two, I believe, and then gets taken down by Gore. Gore's got a very rounded game. It was a super close fight because it looks like round 1 definitely went to Battle. Then the first half of both the rounds went to Battle, I thought, and Gore kind of pulled off in the second and third for the second half, but it could have gone either way. All 3 judges ended up seeing it for Brian Battle. But both these guys have a lot of potential. So I can't wait to see what they can do. Like I said in the last episode, Battle's not the most technical, but he seems like he wants to win. He'll talk shit in there. He's pumped. He loves to fight. He loves the sport. Oh God. This one was the only one I got wrong on the main card. This one's an emotional one for me. Smiling Sam Alvey lost eight straight. he went out there, he rocked Brendan Allen, and then Brendan Allen rocked him. And then we go into round 2, and Brendan Allen rocked him again, and then he drops in the rear naked and chokes out Sam Alvey. You hate to see it, because Sam Alvey's just such a warrior. The guy fights really odd, though, really square, kind of like a Chuck Liddell stance where this hand's almost out here, except he's left-handed, so it's like this, and he just walks around holding it up like how Chuck Liddell did, and just would pop it off, and that's how he rocks people. But it feels awkward for me to hold that, and so natural for him. I don't know. I hope they give Sam Alvey a chance to beat BJ Penn's losing skid of 8 fights, because now they're tied. 8 fights. Sam deserves to be in the UFC, damn it. Who cares about the last 8 or 9 fights? The man is a warrior. He'll fight Ngannou if he has to, but he really doesn't want to fight Ngannou, he says. So, cheers to Sam Alvey. I hope this isn't happy trails, but I think it is. I don't know how they keep you after losing 8 in a row. Moving on. Rachmanov versus Harris. Rachmanov is the real effing deal. This dude goes out there and they're striking. It's pretty even. And then he kind of starts rocking Guy a little bit. Hits a spinning back kick. Drops him. Gets on top. And he does the same thing that Almeida does. Straight down ground and pound. Knocks his guy out cold like how Stipe did with Alistair. Or it seemed that Alistair was out in that fight. Shout out to Stipe again. I missed you last episode. Someday you'll see this. You're my favorite. But yeah, Rachmanov, real prospect. 26 years old. 15 fights, 15 finishes. Guy's a monster. That spinning back kick was great, and then the ground and pound was even better. That's somebody that nobody's going to want to fight. He's going to have the Makhachev effect where just everybody that they say, hey, you want to fight him in the top 10, they'll be like, no, I don't want to fight down, but they'll fight someone unranked because just not him, because he is that next dude. He's that good. Go check him out if you get a chance. Check out his highlights. He's a beast. Yeah. Soriano versus Maximov. Soriano is so strong. Maximov, product of the Diaz brothers, JUCO wrestling champ, I think, or All-American, I forget what it was, but they go out there and Soriano's landing some big strikes. Maximov's getting a lot of takedowns. How many did he have? I wrote it down. 11 takedowns. That's a lot. And the fight was pretty back and forth as far as Maximov getting takedowns and doing damage that way. Soriano doing some heavy shots on the feet. Soriano's real flexible when he's down there. He'll bend his knees in ways a lot of people don't, and he doesn't fall backwards. But Maximov ended up pulling off the split decision. The fight, pretty much every round was super even, so I don't know how the judges scored it, but I wouldn't have been upset if it went either way. Maximov with the 11 takedowns, I think you deserve it at that point, especially if you don't get outstruck 2-1. It was like 75-60 or something. So that was a fun one. Good to see a Diaz prospect pull off the W. So we're gonna take a brief drinking intermission for this main event that we're about to jump into, and we're gonna talk more about the shitty the shitty judges than the fight, I think, because the split decision in this fight did not make any sense. But hold up. All right, Hermanson versus Strickland. Strickland versus Hermanson. Strickland looked a little gun-shy. Still outlanded Hermanson. He's got really good takedown defense, and his head movement is so subtle, but so good out there. He'll just 2 inches out the way, like kind of like one of those slips where you keep your head straight, but you move back just 2 inches. And Hermanson only landed like 20 head strikes in a 5-round fight. That's not much. He landed a lot more body and leg strikes. Strickland was piecing Hermanson up for the most part on the feet, I thought. It was a competitive fight, but Strickland was kicking ass. And then in the last round, Strickland's talking shit, and he says, "Let's meet in the middle." And then Hermanson kind of knocks him back a little bit, and Strickland's like, "You effing pussy," or "You pussy." And they're still fighting. They shake hands afterwards. It was a competitive fight, but I thought it was pretty obvious Strickland won. Vegas had it at 5,000, minus 5,000 odds for Strickland going into the 5th round. That being said, one of the judges scored it for Hermanson. The other two got it right, and Strickland, because he definitely won, even though it was competitive, definitely went to Strickland. The Nevada Athletic Commission needs to fire Sal D'Amato. Dude makes so many bad calls. He's just terrible. I don't know if he's always been this way. I haven't really paid attention to his scorecards in the past. But my God, nowadays, he must be paying too much attention to social media and hate Sean Strickland, because that was clearly a 4-1, maybe 3-2 dub for Strickland, and he made it a split decision. Hermanson did not win 3 rounds, barely won 2, if won 2. So fire Sal D'Amato, get rid of him. He's done. Capiche? More news in the MMA community is what we're getting into now. A lot going on. Don't know how long this old segmento is going to last, but we're going to take a drinky poo and start a new brew. Alrighty. So, I gotta pull up my notepad because, like I said, there is a lot going on right now. Okay. So, Tai Tuivasa, Derek Lewis, I've been talking about that for a few weeks. That fight is coming up, and Tuivasa was recently interviewed, and they asked him about accepting that fight. He said, "When I took that fight, I was blackout drunk, but I'm super excited for it now." That's awesome. I don't know if it's going to end in Derek Lewis doing this on the mat, or if it's going to end in a shoey. That's just going to be a war. Cannot wait for that fight. Whew. Two of those baddies got me jacked. I'm also super jacked up on a ton of coffee today. Ton of it. But yeah, Tuivasa Lewis. Can't wait for that banger. That's hilarious that he was blackout drunk when he took the fight. Other things going on. Speaking of UFC 271, Israel Adesanya still talking shit to Robert Whittaker. In the first fight, Whittaker was like, "I hate this guy," and trying to talk shit back a little bit. But he's such a nice guy, so it didn't sound natural. This fight, he sounds a lot more composed, like he's less bothered by the shit talk. Hopefully it's a more competitive affair. We'll have to see how it goes, because Adesanya's a beast. So even if it goes 5 rounds, he could still win it. But Whittaker has looked mean in his last couple fights. I mean, he fucked up Gastelum, Cannonier. Who else did he fight? I can't remember. I'll look it up while I'm talking. But he's been piecing people up and does not give a fuck who he fights. Which I love that, when somebody's at the top and they'll still fight anybody. Don't search Whittaker, because of course it's going to pull up Forrest Whitaker. But, yeah, that's going to be a fun fight if Robert's not super out of it as far as his head and everything. He seems like you can mess with his head and it'll affect his fighting. I don't think that's going to happen this time. but we'll have to see. 2021 he fought Kelvin Gastelum and Kelvin alone. Okay, so he fought Darren Till in 2020 and beat him in a decision, and then he fought Cannonier and beat him also. Robert Whittaker is just a total package. Israel Adesanya is a striking guru. Can't wait to see how that goes. I'm actually going to have a whole show about this card, so we'll have to see how that one goes. Can't wait to talk about it. Other news, Dustin Poirier says he has this fight booked and he will shave his head once the UFC announces it. So he must not be announcing it yet. I am assuming it's going to be Nate Diaz, but it could be a lot of people. I mean, 170 is a pretty wide open division. Luque and Muhammad's booked. And then Izzy and they're 185. Kamaru's not going to fight Dustin right away after those losses. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe he's fighting Darren Till. I don't know. Maybe Darren will drop down. We'll have to see. I really wonder who that's going to be. Oh, ESPN and PFL secured another deal, which also brought Kayla Harrison up to saying that she's most likely to sign back with PFL. So she wants to continue fighting trash cans and nobodies. She's taking the Michael Venom Page approach, who also fights trash cans and nobodies till it's a title shot, or Douglas Lima. But yeah, there's no women in the 155 division at PFL that would even make it in Bellator or UFC. And Bellator doesn't have the strongest women's division, but none of those women would make it there. And Kayla Harrison wanting to stay at PFL just kind of shows me that she doesn't think she's there yet. She reminds me a lot of Rousey as somebody that's got great judo, of course, but her striking is awkward, kind of. She seems to keep her chin up, which is a bad thing to do against somebody that knows what the heck they're doing. Alan Belcher, first round knockout in his BKFC debut. So hell yeah, Alan Belcher. I hope that juice tastes good, because you look way more ripped than you ever did in the UFC. So I hope the juice is good. Speaking of BKFC, Bare Knuckle Fight Club, Chad Mendes says he's going to make more than Francis Ngannou in his next fight, his debut for the BKFC. I don't know where they're making this money, because they're like $5 a month. And $600,000 is what Francis made. I don't know how much Chad Mendes is making, but I feel like most people read about it that care about that stuff as opposed to watching it. I watch a lot of it, but I'm like a diehard and bored at night all the time, so like not all the time, but on weekends, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, I don't think he's making more. If he is, BKFC's got to be heels up, or at least hips up, because they're getting fucked in the ass by finances soon if they're paying their fighters like that. All right. Cowboy versus Lauzon is booked. Can't wait for that fight. Lauzon and Cowboy I think they're both in the top 10 for most fight of the night bonuses. Dudes just put on a show every time. And I think I said this in a show before, but UFC, do this more. Put vets versus vets, like you did with Nick Diaz and Robbie Lawler, even though Lawler fucked him up a little bit. Vets versus vets. That's what we want to see. We don't want to see people like Cowboy fighting an up-and-comer or some 28-year-old that's coming into his physical prime, because we know Cowboy's on the decline, but we don't want to see him go out like that. We don't want to see him go out with 6 straight fights without a win. We want to see Cowboy get a win. We want to see Lauzon get a win, but that kind of fight, the fans win no matter what happens. Goodness effing gracious. The Ultimate Fighter Season 30 coaches have been named. We have Amanda Nunes versus Juliana Pena. It's going to be men's heavyweights, and I believe the women's class that they chose was bantamweight. So that's going to be super fun. And I'm not sure, but from what I read from Pena's post, sounds like it's going to be at 145, so they're not going to be putting Pena's belt on the line. It'll be Nunes' other belt. That could be huge for Pena if she can take Nunes' 35 and her 45-pound belt. That'll be huge because they're going to fight after the finale. And then Amanda Nunes, she has a chance to redeem herself. She thinks she's better than how she fought. Sounds like she wasn't really training for the last fight, but also, I don't know. I feel like she's the kind of person that would get discouraged if she doesn't get that first round knockout because she's been dominating for so long doing things like that or submissions. Other things in the news. Ian Gary, however you want to pronounce it. He's got his next fight booked against Darian Weeks, and I think that's at 272 or 271. Let me check the old notepad. I didn't write it down. I'm pretty sure it's 272 that he's booked for. He's a super fun fighter out of Ireland. He got a sweet knockout over... Can't remember the guy's name now, but he got a sweet knockout in his last fight. Very Conor McGregor-esque, where you just kind of stay on the outside. He's a little bigger than Conor, but stay on the outside. Pop. The pop, lean back, pop. Yeah, but he's super sweet knockout last fight. Fun fighter to watch. He's a prospect on the up and up. So that'll be awesome to see. Other things going on, we have... Max Holloway has been cleared from his injury. So for the Volkanovski versus Korean Zombie fight, he said that he'll step in as an alternate in case anybody can't make weight or is injured. So it'd be great to see Max Holloway kind of slip in there. All the best to Korean Zombie. If he does get injured or can't make weight or something, Max Holloway steps in at the last second, goes in, and gets his belt back. What a story that would be. So, yeah, can't wait. But I don't think, have we ever seen an alternate actually step in since they've been doing that? It's probably not going to frickin' happen. Let's see. Working on them F words. And then, finally, Masvidal made a video for Colby Covington, and it's hilarious. I like Colby just because he's funny, and I think it's all a facade. I like Masvidal a lot, too. The video is just showing Colby contradicting himself all the time. Shows Brendan Schaub talking about how the women were paid and they wouldn't massage his back. And it's funny. John Jones even thinks Colby's a shit human being. John Jones. Guy's not the best, but he's definitely the best fighter. Go check out that video, though. It is absolutely hilarious. And everybody that's tuned in today, I might have been going a little fast. Like I said, this is like a blackout brew. So if you get the chance, any of my friends in Ohio, check out the Columbus Brewing Company's Bodie. But comment, like, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you for tuning in. This is my 5th episode, so I'm pretty pumped about that. And just let me know what you think. This upcoming week, we'll be talking UFC 271, Whitaker versus Adesanya 2. So I'll break down that whole card and just do an exclusive episode to that, unless there's any other cards I'm forgetting about that are going on this upcoming weekend. But, yeah, just let me know what you think. And I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I really do. A lot of support from everybody, so thank you. And this has been Blood and Beer with your host, Matt. I appreciate you. That's all I got to say. I'll finish this beer for you.